Joining me now, Megan Hayes, former special assistant to President Biden and director of message planning in the White House. Megan, let's get this out of the way really early. Is there any chance in the world that Joe Biden is going to crash the convention in a week?
No, I mean, that is totally Donald Trump's wishful thinking, because he's so angry that it's not Joe Biden that he's running against anymore, that he's just wishing and trying to make fetch happen there. So no, that's not happening. The vice president and Governor Walz are running. They're the people on the ticket.
Making fetch happen. I did not have that on my bingo board for today's show. But look, it's been less than a week since the Minnesota governor, Tim Walz, joined the Democratic ticket. And the Harris-Walz campaign seems to be seeking to bring a more joyful message to the campaign trail, countering Trump's darker themes and softening on Biden's dark warnings about the state of democracy. Here's Tim Walz last night. Listen.
This incredible leader, this incredible woman has brought to this fight. She has brought back compassion and decency and humor and joy to our politics.
We both know the grind of a campaign, though. Can joy last?
You know, I'm hopeful that it lasts. They have a lot of momentum going into the convention. That will last another couple of weeks. But once we hit Labor Day, it is going to be a slog. We all know it's going to get extremely challenging after Labor Day. People start to early vote. There's the debate. There's a lot of room here where this is not going to be as joyful. I do think people are really excited to have a ticket they believe in and to have a ticket that they're not voting against something. They're now voting for something, which is really exciting for the Democrats. They've raised a ton of money. They have a ton of organizing power here, that they've had all these new signups. I mean, these are incredible events, incredible rallies that you're seeing. It's really incredible to see all the momentum. And I just hope, this will last as long as people want to carry it through. So as long as the voters are engaged and the Democratic Party is engaged, they can carry this through till November.
You mentioned the debates. We have at least one that's going to be scheduled September 10th with ABC. Both Harris and Trump have agreed to that. Trump, of course, wants more. What do you think the conversation is around Harris HQ right now? Having been in these rooms when it was Biden HQ, what's the thinking around doing more, doing less? Who does that help or hurt?
I think that they absolutely should do a debate. I think that the American people need to see the contrast. I think that only goes into the vice president's favor right now. She can show a contrast of someone who has policies and views and a vision for the future, rather than someone who's just going to look back and talk about how the election was stolen and how much he hates Joe Biden. So I just think, for her, I think this is a really positive. I'm not sure you need to do more than one. I think they're extremely time consuming. The prep is extremely time consuming, and she should probably be out there talking to voters in these battleground states. I think that's where her time is best spent. But I do think having a debate is good for the American people.
You've also probably heard the criticism that she hasn't been as available to reporters. I mean, I think we both know this. She needs to be, right?
Well, so I have a little bit of different take. She has reporters on the plane. She takes questions from the reporters every day.
She has and she does, but yes.
And so I do think that is different than sitting down for an interview. I also think she needs to be reaching the American people where they are. And a lot of people, the majority of the people, get their news on their phones. And so her doing traditional media interview, where I understand why it's a media narrative and I understand why it's important, I don't think it's the most important thing for her to do right now. Does she need to do one? Yes, coming up, absolutely. But does she need to be right now? No. She needs to be capitalizing on this momentum. And she is really winning on social media and TikTok. You've seen all the statistics behind that. You've seen these events are really engaging and exciting. So she's out there meeting the American people and the voters where they are.
You and I have worked together on campaigns before, so you know that my stance is always more time with the press, more answering questions is always the posture. At the same time, of course, I understand the strategy. I think another piece of this, too, is we're going to see next week President Biden and Kamala Harris doing an event together in Maryland. Then we'll see the president speak at the Democratic National Convention the following Monday. What's the role of President Biden in this campaign now that he's not the nominee, but he's still very much the president?
Absolutely. And I think, they are going and they're doing an official event about lowering costs for the American people and can lay out some economic policies and give her a chance to lay out her vision for the next 4 years. But he's becoming the supporter in chief, right? Like, he is the person who's going to be out campaigning for her and being supportive of her and talking about the things that she helped accomplish in the last 3.5 years. His legacy is her legacy right now. And so they need to, he's going to be as supportive as she needs him to be. And he also, though, has a lot to do in the foreign policy space and a lot of other things that are happening for the next 6 months that the president really needs to focus on being the president. But I do think he will be impactful in the race and will be helpful and supportive to her moving into the election.
The foreign policy space also is very present in the domestic politics space, especially when you see on the campaign trail in Michigan and in other places, Kamala Harris receiving the same kind of protests around the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza as President Biden did when he was out there on the campaign trail. This issue is still very much a tension point within the Democratic Party. Because she's carrying his legacy as well as her own campaign, though, how much room does she have to maneuver here? We talked about this with Peter Baker earlier, and I know the short answer is she's still in the administration as much as she's her own ticket. But what should we expect around this?
You know, look, I think that the margins are going to be very slim in these battleground states, and Michigan is one of them. And I think that a lot of these voters, 10, 20,000 votes. And so it's going to be one on the margins. So she does need to understand where these uncommitted voters are coming to. And she does need to make her policies known here and just take a stance. But she is in a unique position because she is the vice president. I don't think she's going to stray too far from the policies that the administration has, because one, they are trying to get a ceasefire. I mean, she's made that very clear. They are trying to get a hostage deal. Yeah. So until that piece is done, I'm not sure how far she can move, because I don't think that they can have daylight right now in those negotiations.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of people watching to see if and when those negotiations bear fruit. Megan Hayes, thanks for joining us.